Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to my show. It's me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we're here today talking about invisibility workings again because for the last 2 days I have been pretty much out of it with back pain, and so that's why I've been MIA. I guess I broke my month or so streak of going live every day, but sometimes you have to take care of yourself. Hi Tangerine, how are you? So nice to see you. I've been laid up in bed with back pain, which is fine. It means my body needed to rest and I had to listen, so that's what I did. Getting really excited for Tarot-thon this weekend. It's coming up very, very soon. So who's here? I want to know who's here so we can talk about these invisibility workings, and like you may have seen in a little thumbnail, we have some little invisibility puppets. Hey Jemikai, how are you? So nice to see you, Mama Hennessy. Yeah, it's good. It happens. Cherry Chapstick, hello. Make sure you join the 24-hour Tarot-thon because your card is done. Not everybody. I didn't get a chance to get everybody's cards done, but Cherry Chapstick's done and Tangerine Layla's done. Okay. Had I had a picture of a bottle of Hennessy, which I looked for quite some time, I would have also had Mama Hennessy's time. Done. Okay, so let's talk about this. If you guys joined me for the last invisibility working that we did, it was at nighttime and I was in my living room and we were kind of talking about ideas because I had read from a book and I read a lot of my like Book of Shadow type notes to you guys that I had taken on all Scott Cunningham's information on invisibility. Oh, and you guys, I figured out when the birthday for the channel is. It's July 19th. That's when I made my first video last year. Perfect. Ah, Mama Hennessy, thank you. I did see the pictures. Thank you. Okay, so we talked about black stones. For spells of invisibility, to ensure your actions won't be seen by others, use a black stone for this purpose. For example, make a black clay poppet of yourself, adorn it with black stones, place it in a black box, or one made of mirrors, and then put the box in a dark place. This simply hides you from others who may present a threat in your life. So basically, that's where I got the idea to make the 5 of these. I only need one for the person I'm doing the working for, but this clay was really, really light. I made 5 of these little puppets for invisibility. This clay was a really, really light gray, and then I molded into it charcoal tabs, like that we use for a coal disc, you know, black coal disc charcoal tabs. I crushed those up with a mortar and pestle, and then I mixed that into the clay with Otis's drinking water. It's actually all the cats' drinking water, but a familiar's drinking water. Now this is something that From the Dark Pool, one of my dear friends here on the channel, had told me would be a good idea to use just whenever you thought intuitively to use it. But Otis's drinking water, he is stealthy as all heck. And so I thought that that would be a great time to use it. So to manipulate this dry charcoal into the clay to turn the clay black, that's what I did. And also, you know how it didn't turn the doll completely black because we can see the clay's not black, the stones are black, right? But it doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that there's charcoal, which is very, very protective, woven into the clay. And also, charcoal will keep negative spirits, negativity away. And then we adorned it with black hematite and black obsidian. So the stones are all either black hematite or black obsidian. Hey, Living Out Loud, so nice to see you. Hey, Lunchbox. Talking about these invisibility workings we're doing. And a good question somebody had was, does it just have to be invisibility to muggles or to other magic folk too? It's whatever intention you put into this, right? So if you want to be seen by nobody, you know, it's however we enchant this to work. So I've doing that working for someone, and then I've got 4 other poppets like these. So we massaged the black charcoal powder into the clay with cat drinking water. Okay, that adds another level of invisibility to it. I have to tell you, I'm not a sculptor because I thought I was going to sculpt these little things into like the most beautiful looking poppets. And then I took this thing that Magical Mandy sent me and I tried to make one like it. But it's Fimo, and Fimo bends, and clay wouldn't make this bend. So, plus not everybody would be a goddess that would be working with these. So I just made them kind of unisex poppets. All you need is the shape. Like, that's really all you need to worry about, is that it looks like a human. Arms, legs, head. So I think that we did really well based on the reading. You know, for example, make a clay poppet of yourself, adorn it with black stones, place it in a black box or one made of mirrors, because, and this won't be in the working I'm doing because she never got back to me on if she wanted the box, but this will be for another person's invisibility working, because I do have this mirror box that has both mirrors on the top. The little screws are mirrors. See that? Mirrors on the top and on the inside. And the coolest thing about this too was that on the back of this little box, there was this old telephone number on a sticky label. And I kept that and I put it in my book of shadows and I wrote it down. And the guy's name is Wood Art, Fr Fred, da da da. And then I've got his phone number and old AOL internet email address. But anyway, she can just put her poppet in a dark place, and then here is the invisibility necklace I made her to wear with it. Okay, so this is just really cool. It's going to be a 2-part necklace. The smaller part will hang up here, the bottom part will hang up here, right? Maybe more like this. In this part, I've got snake skin in a glass jar with a cork, and then 3 good-sized chunks of black tourmaline, okay? Now, remember in the poppet we have black obsidian and black tourmaline. So having this black tourmaline in this jar that you're wearing around you, and then this poppet hidden at home in a dark box that you've done a working with beforehand. Maybe you burn, I'm sending her 3 of these candles to burn before she goes out. So she puts this in a dark place, maybe makes her own little black box to put it in. Maybe she burns a candle over top of that and says her own prayer and intent. Meanwhile, she puts this in a dark place while she's out doing her workings, whether she wants to stay hidden from muggles or stay hidden from magic folk or anyone, right? Because this doesn't matter. We can stay hidden using this in any sense of the word, all right? So maybe she burns this over the box because it's a very light white candle and it can be clear for invisibility, all right? And so she'll say her intent over that, however she likes to do that. I think she should anoint these with blood or menstrual blood or spit or tears, any kind of bodily fluid to connect her to them. So she'll have this as part of the working. It's, like I said, the snakeskin and the black tourmaline chunks. And then the other part of the necklace is really beautiful. So it's got a big black tourmaline chunk on here. That connects her to this poppet because the poppet has tourmaline. Now, I've got, remember we read all those different herbs for invisibility. So Scotty talks about opal. In the past, opals were used to create invisibility. The gem was wrapped in a fresh bay leaf and carried for this purpose. So what I did, well, I'll keep reading and then I'll tell you what I did. Usually stones and herbs linked with invisibility were actually used to promote astral projection, and the opal is ideal for this purpose. Also, another person told me opal it changes colors like a chameleon, so that's exactly what we'd want for this type of working, like changing, that change like a chameleon. So this is out of all different books that I put together, but right now what we're reading is out of Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Metals, Gems, and Crystals, okay? And then he said later on that opal is a protective stone in that when properly programmed, it makes you unnoticeable or invisible. It can be used when venturing to dangerous territory and dangerous places. Also greatly used in shamanic work where stealth is required. So I've got those opals in there, and once I read the herbs, you'll understand why I did all of this. So Then in Scotty's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, here's all the herbs that have invisibility qualities that I used. Chicory, carry on your person for invisibility. Okay, so the very bottom of this is chicory, which looks like a ground coffee. Then I thought, okay, if I put chicory in there, it's just gonna, like, once it gets packaged, it's gonna get all over and that's not gonna look very pretty. So, from my altar, I lit this little candle. I dripped the wax in here very, very carefully so that it didn't hit the outside, but it just went on top of the chicory and it made like this plate, if you will, or sectioned it. So there's this layer of clear invisible wax, and then when the wax was still a little bit wet, I dropped in 9 little opal chunks. Okay, so you can see the opals and then the wax, and then the chicory is safely grounded at the bottom. Okay, I think this looks really pretty, and so these bay leaves that are in here, I put in 3, and they're fresh bay leaves from my garden. We grew these. And then I have that chunk of black tourmaline, and then this big piece of mistletoe in the middle here. It looks kind of like a fork, and I stuck that mistletoe into the wax when it was still wet. Let me read to you about mistletoe. So I'll have 4 more of these workings available on my Etsy shop, and the listing is already there, you guys. Fern, I didn't use fern, but fern seed is carried for invisibility. I didn't have the seed. Edelweiss, Aramanth, heliotrope, mistletoe, wear around the neck for invisibility. Again, this is going to be a necklace. So both for chicory it said carry on your person for invisibility. Done it. Mistletoe, it says wear around your neck for invisibility. Done it. The opal we've got in there. The bay leaves are to be wrapped around the opal for invisibility. So the opals on 2 levels really worked. And then we're adding black hemp on to tie this whole thing into a necklace. And remember, when we did the hagstones on a necklace so we could just lift them up and look through our hagstones, we remembered how perfect that worked because hemp, one of its magical properties is visions. Okay? And that absolutely works with this because we want to distort the way someone sees us. We want to be invisible. Visions. The word is there. It works. And then the very last part of the working. So she'll have that necklace. She'll have her poppet that is adorned with black obsidian and black tourmaline. And then I've also gotten a packet of poppies, and I'm going to be sending her 11 seeds that she can soak. Well, I might send her more seeds because she might want to do it twice. But I don't know if anybody wants to do this because when we got to poppy, we read that the seed wrapped in a lizard skin and carried allows you to become invisible at will. I do have a lizard skin, but it's more expensive than this working. So if anybody wanted that, we could put it together. I do want to say, though, where's that stuff on poppy? Oh, right. Soak poppy seeds in wine for 15 days. Then drink the wine each day for 5 days while water fasting. So to do that, you have to not eat for 5 days. According to tradition, you will be able to make yourself invisible at will. Okay, so the fact that it's at will, it just made me want to throw it in there for her if she wants to do a version of that. I think most people have red wine on hand, and I thought it was pretty cool. Hi to everybody who's here. Look at these cool stone poppets that I've made. So again, if anybody wants invisibility workings, really fun. This box is still up for purchase, but if you want this box, send me a private note and don't make the purchase yet because we have to get it in the total. But you guys, you don't have to use a box with mirrors. You can make a box with mirrors. You can get mirrors at the dollar store and such. And also, I have these little like black boxes from when I like bought things from my vape or whatever. But you just take all the vape stuff out and then you paint with black paint over the top and you have a little black box. So I think that's probably what I'll send for her. And I have more of them to send for the other ones. Like, look, you guys, anything works. Your old tarot card boxes, a lot of people don't believe in reusing those, but I do. That'd be perfect to put your puppet in if you painted it black. You could even keep that lizard's eye on top for protection of yourself. It'd be really cool. So yeah, I mean, old necklace jewelry boxes, those puppets will fit right inside. And just paint it black. Paint it black. Oh, I need another black box. This one is like totally RTG. Look, tiny black box, ready to go. That's exactly what you need. And so if you had a mirror, you could put a mirror in there, like a compact mirror, mirrors from the dollar store, something like that. So there we go. Ready to go. I wanted to talk to you guys about some other things that I was doing. So after I made the puppets, because I totally wanted to make my puppets off of pure intuition and the little bit of information that I read out of Scotty's book. So then after I was done making my puppet, this is just the way that I work. After I was completely done, hi Earthly, how are you? I went into this book, which I haven't even really looked into much yet, and got all the information I could off of clay puppets. So maybe I can rearrange here, tip you guys down, and we could do some reading about clay puppets. I don't know. So I've been keeping the clay puppets like down by my altar candle and just kind of been blessing them in these last few days. And as well as the poppy seeds, the stones, etc. And the fact that the hemp is black is going to be banishing, right? So we're going to be banishing sight, banishing, you know, we want to be unseen. So I'm going to sit down once I get all this stuff. Oh, and if you want to know a good way to get these things inside of here without, like, how do you get it laid in there so perfectly? I get a pair of taxidermy tweezers, which are really big and long, and then I just place them inside the jar with that. And if I've got something in there that I don't like it, I also remove things with this. So these are really clever to have around. I have this long pair here, but the kind with the curve works really, really well. So that'll be fun. I'm finishing that up today and shipping it out tomorrow. And yeah, I was just really happy with what I put together with my intuition. What do you guys think about the working? Yeah, man, Puppet Magic. I should read to you guys about it. So since we worked with clay puppets, we'll start by reading about clay, and then we'll go in and talk about whatever we want to. There's those boxes! I was like, I knew I had 3 more boxes. Where did I hide them? I found them. Miss Claire wanted to say hello to everybody this morning, so I brought her along. 1000-fold and his wife are here. Everybody's here. See, now this is too high. Let's lower you a bit. 1000-fold and his wife. 1000-fold and 1000-fold's his wife. Da 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 da. Ba 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 ba. Better? Maybe. Maybe so. Okay. When I get to my Texas house, I'm going to buy a really big, comfortable chair to sit in. One that's like, if it's not already covered in red velvet, I'm going to cover it in red velvet. And it's just going to be this big freaking throne that I'm going to have to sit in. Just telling you that in case you wanted to know. So right now we're reading, we're referring to notes I've made out of Puppet Magic. And then we'll do some reading out of Puppet Magic. But I wanted to know everything I could on clay puppets, because that's what I've got here that I was doing for that working. But I wanted to read about it after I did my working, because I work mostly on intuition. And did you guys see Lady Grave Dancer was live last night? That was so cool. I missed it, of course, but... Okay, so on page 14 it says, for banishing, I prefer, for poppets, clay, mud, or snow. Also potatoes because they easily rot. So, for banishing poppets, Silver Ravenwolf prefers clay, mud, or snow. And I never even thought of making a poppet out of snow until I read that, and I was like, yeah, because you could really, really do some purpose magic with that, right? Freeze someone out, stop a situation. A freezer's a good place. Like, that's where we put our limes for our shut-up working, right? Yeah, I missed it too. She was only on for about 20 minutes or less, is what I saw. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's cool that she said clay was good for banishing, because we're trying to banish the vision so that nobody can see her when she's out and about. So on page 44 it says, if the poppet is small, only add small amounts of herbs, because you can add herbs right inside of a clay poppet if you mold them in. But remember to only add small amounts, otherwise clay won't maintain its shape. And also remember that a small amount of herbs in a poppet is enough. You know, just them being there will work. So then I noted, if clay dries well and hardens, then the image poppet can protect or harden, as in harden the heart. So I used air drying clay, which was easiest for me. I didn't have to cook it and worry about the stones cracking and things like that. Easily manipulated clay or wax can be used to change sickness into health. So if you were using Fimo and you never cooked it, you could still easily manipulate it, right? I like this idea because it makes sense with the sickness. We want to manipulate the sickness in somebody to make them better. Use a substance that's soft, like beeswax, paraffin wax for your hands. You can always manipulate that wax. And it's so funny because that's what I keep my dad's sick poppet out of, is paraffin wax. And that's what I should be using because I can manipulate it. So use a pliable material like beauty paraffin or beeswax that can be easily manipulated if that is what you want from the working. Easily manipulated or coerced. Easily manipulated or coerced clay or wax can also be used to change sickness into health. And then on page 45 it says, difficult to manipulate clay like Premo or Sculpty, both polymer clays. Use a pasta machine to help it make more easily manipulatable. If you can use your clay, you could also use your clay tools for wax. Soaps may be too difficult to share the tools. Page 52, a candle board, CANDLEBOARD, is a portable altar usually made of natural materials such as stone, clay, wood, metal, or copper. You guys know those Altoid containers that are so popular to be made into little travel altars? Well, good to know that they're made out of metal, so it's the right substance. But did you know that the real word for them is called candleboard? Little travel altars, the real word is candleboard. Page 55. All items in a poppet should match the intention. Number and type of ingredients are entirely up to you and depend on your intent and what's available on hand and the medium of your poppet. Cloth, clay, vegetable, etc. For example, ingredients are often stuffed in a cloth poppet but then are dressed on a stick or clay poppet because including large objects within the clay or sticks isn't an option unless they're very, very large. So it goes on to say more about clay throughout the book, on loads and loads and loads of pages. There's just so much information in this book. So I thought it would be a good time to leave this up to you guys to go ahead. Let's talk through the, well, it's up to you guys. Do you guys want to read about poppets or do you want to finish reading about candles? Because last time we left off on candles and I didn't get back to it. So it's up to you guys. Do you want to get into the poppet magic book or shall we finish candles? Because we're going to start in the candle dressing category. So that is all up to you guys. Candles. Okay. Only one person is going to say it. We can definitely get to this at another time. If not, today than later. But yeah, let's talk more about candles where we left off. Alright. So we've got 2 books, but the main book we've been reading from is this one. I really want to get to a lot of points in this one, but we just never know how much time we've got, do we? So we left off at the dressing section of candles. In a couple videos before this, we talked about all the different kinds of color magic in candles. You know? White, red, pink, orange, gold, yellow, green, purple, indigo, magenta, brown, silver, gray. And now we're going to talk about dressing the candles. So let's do that. Oh, we'll get to the Poppet book, you guys. We have the rest of our lives. But did you guys hear? July 19th, that's the day I made my first video for this channel last year. So we're going to have our first birthday party for the channel on July 19th. So much fun coming this summer, you guys. Scott Cunningham's birthday is on June 25th, I do believe. My birthday party's on June 6th. So much going on. 24-hour Tarot-thon is this weekend, and oh my gosh, I gotta get my stuff together, but it's going to be so much fun. Okay, dressing of candles. Before a candle may be placed upon your altar or lit for a ritual, it must be properly prepared. Dressing a candle consists of 3 important steps. Nello, are you here in the chat? Nello is my, star student who always leaves me the sweetest comment saying, I filled up 3 pages in my Book of Shadows just from this video. It's so cool to me. I love when people keep me updated on what they're doing because it just makes me feel so happy. Let's see. So the 3 steps are cleansing and exorcising it of any previous impressions that may be embedded in it. Okay, so that would be us taking this candle, and if you didn't have, sage or Palo Santo or juniper berries to cleanse it away or Florida water, you could just literally hold your intent over it if you had nothing else. But you can cleanse it with sage, Palo Santo, juniper, Florida water, rose water, holy water, altar water, whatever makes it feel blessed to you. The moonlight, So holding that in your hand and saying something like, for me, I spray a thing of Florida water, make it touch every part, including the wax, or the tip, every single part of it at the bottom, and say, I cleanse this from all the places it's been, all the energies that have ever touched it. It is now clean, and it is now mine. Okay? And so, that's the way I personally do it. We'll see how the book suggests us to worry. I read the comment, suggests us to do it. Okay, so and remember that wax, energies stick to wax. Energies stick to sticky things. It makes sense. So, especially with candles, and especially if we get them, like I get most of mine except for these type down here with the glass at thrift stores, you better be cleansing that wax, because it's not only been at a thrift store with all those loads of energies, it's been in someone's house, it's been at the factory, it's been at the store, it's been at loads of places. So there's a lot of energy in thrift candle wax. So cleanse it, make it yours. The second part is blessing the candle, or consecrating it for spiritual use. And finally, anointing or charging the candle with your special intentions. Okay? So the book will break this down for us. It says, this may seem like a lot of trouble, but successful ritualists wouldn't dream of taking an often handled candle from a store shelf, placing it on their altar, and lighting it without proper dressing. I have to say that's me too. I do, however, bring them in my room and cleanse them one by one as I go. With thrifted candles, I highly suggest you guys cleanse them before you bring them into your magical space. Even if you just take a spray of Florida water or your altar water and just as a big general spray it over the whole lot of them. But, you know, I'll just be honest with you, I do them as I go. And I feel like I could have cleaner energies in here if I took my own advice all the time. But it comes down to a time factor. What's the most important thing to you guys, you know? Okay, so the cleansing. Most purchased or stored candles will be landed with dust and dirt particles, even if they are factory wrapped. Some like those enclosed in glass will be rather messy with a wax dripping from the factory and a collection of dust and even perhaps insects from the warehouse. Where are they getting their candles? These I get brand new from the store, and they're pretty clean to me, except for the cat hairs and dust that came from my house from them being on the floor. But if you get these thrifted, they absolutely do look like that. Remember, we read, with these candles that are in the glass, these glass vigil candles, they are meant to be lit once and burn the whole way through. These in the glass are not meant to be relit and put out over and over. Okay? So if you're getting ready to burn one of these, either A, be comfortable with it being in your home, like I am. Mine always is there. And then I even have a backup right beside it for if that one goes out, okay? But what I'm saying is if you're going to do these, know that for 3 to 5, they even have 7 and 14 days of these, that's going to be going for your working to work, okay? Do with it what you will, but we're just reading the traditions, in the words of Charmaine Day. All right. But insects? No. These all have to first be removed, leaving you with a physically clean article. So it looks clean. You know, you've got all the dirt, the insects, the dust, all of that. You've gotten all that off it. It's physically clean. Also, altar candles which have been used until they are thick and distorted with drippings or been left standing out in an open altar for some time will need to be cleaned up and trimmed off to burn evenly. Some types of molded or carved figure candles may be imperfect or lopsided at the base, etc. These will have to be trimmed up to make them more suitable. You will need a clean working area other than your altar. So I shouldn't be doing this here. I usually stand up and do it right beside my altar, or I do it on my bed. It's probably not the best spot, but... So, go to somewhere that's not your altar, upon which is a clean sheet of paper. Waxed kitchen paper will serve fine, or a paper towel. If you are cleaning up used altar candles, you will need an additional sheet or two of clean white paper in which to collect all of the used drippings for proper disposal to the elements. Remember, these have been consecrated and must be handled respectfully. You will need a small work knife, preferably one that has been blessed and which you keep exclusively for this work. So for me, that is my dad's pocket knife. And it's really precious to both of us, and it has a mother of pearl handle. So I use this exclusively for carving in my candles and for magical workings. So, but mostly for carving intent or words onto the side of a candle. It need not be an expensive ritual knife, just a simple little kitchen paring knife or a folding pocket knife will do beautifully. You will also need some mineral or baby oil. If you have neither, a lemon scented furniture polish will do very well, since it is only scented mineral oil, and the lemon oil contained in it has excellent cleansing properties. Cleaning or detergent waxes work fine for this purpose also. I don't even know what that means. You will also require a bit of alcohol or enegrin to clean any dirty working wicks, and some clean soft cloths of cotton, linen, muslin, or flannel. With a knife, trim away the unwanted wax from the candles. Also, if you wish to do any additional carving of any kind, this is the proper time to do it. So if you were to put words into the candle, if you were to put symbols, a picture, birthday, numbers. Next, pour some of the oil or detergent onto the clean cloth and rub off any soil that is on the candle. If you're using a spray-on type cleaner, it is alright to spray it directly onto the candle. When it lifts the soil, wipe it dry with a little alcohol or dry cleaning fluid. I use Florida water for all this stuff, but I'm not saying what they're saying wouldn't work. It just seems like a lot of a process, and that's fine. A ritual is a lot of a process, Allow the candle, and because it's intention. Every bit more that you put into it is more intention, more beauty. Hey, I love my Danes. How are you? With the knife, trim away the unwanted wax from the candles. Also, if you wish to do any additional, we already said that. Allow the candles to sit for a few minutes until they are completely dry. Sometimes you may wish to take a dry polishing cloth or buff or rub the candles to make a nice luster. If they appear dull or hazy, now they are ready to be moved to the altar. The exorcism and blessing. Place a clean piece of waxed or parchment paper onto the altar and set or lay the candle upon it. Do not put them into any holders at this time. Also, upon your altar you will need one or more altar candles, a small bell, incense and burners, some sprinkling water, which may be pure rain or spring water, prepared holy water, flower water such as rose, violet, lilac, orange flower, etc., or an eau de cologne such as Florida water. Ding, ding, ding. You will also require a sacred anointing oil such as frankincense and myrrh, jasmine, or an all-purpose blend of holy oils. Some prefer unscented olive oil, which has been blessed and consecrated for altar use. In addition, you should now select the occult oil, which you will use. In addition, you should now select serve as a fluid condenser in the process of charging or loading your candle. You may need several different types if you are fixing more than one candle. Place this or these upon your altar. You will also need the blessed knife, so lay it on the altar. You are then ready to proceed. So, when we're talking about all these different anointing oils and stuff, we're talking about all the oils that we make on the channel. So we're talking about astral oil, love or passion revival oil, money oil, all these different oils that we make on the channel. Just pick one that works for your intention, like this right here. This is my war oil. I don't label it because I know it's a war oil because I have a little gun in there and I have 2 toy soldiers that float inside of there. Let's see if we can see. Can you see the toy soldier in there? There's his helmet. There's his gun up top. And so here's our war oil. Now, war oil has habanero pepper, like a whole habanero in there. It's got some really hot and spicy things. This is not one that I put on my body, but one that I anoint candles with. Okay? So you can take something as small as this little toy gun, dip it inside of the oil, and then put it on the edge of the candle. A little bit goes a long way. Or you could take the candle, dip it inside the oil, and pull it out, but that's a lot of oil. I would want to let it drip off a lot before I actually used it at that point. But I do believe we made this war oil together on the channel, so if you want to check that out. So it's good to have all these different oils on hand for all your different intentions. I've got a death oil, I've got, anti-negativity oil, road opener oil, astral oil, and then what was the other one? Psychic intuition oil. So I've got a lot of different oils that I've made, and whatever, it's just going to help your candle magic go even farther. I mean, it's just going to add another element with all that intention into it. You can also, after you have oiled it, take it and roll it in some of the fresh herbs. So lay some of the herbs on that wax paper and then roll your candle in it like this, and it will just look confettied because the oil will have it stick. It would sound dangerous to light a candle that is covered in oil, but it's not. I would stay there and be with it, of course, the whole entire time, but know that witches have been doing it forever. Safely, you know, be there with it. Oh, that's fantastic, Michelle. Welcome. Okay, so we talked about the exorcism and blessing, right? And he called those oil, or she called the oils occult oils. Okay, so here's the ritual. Begin with a clean body and hands and clean garments. So as you're doing this ritual, you yourself need to be cleansed in the shower. A good thing I use for that is Florida water soap in a bar, and I just cleanse my whole body with it. It smells way better than Florida water. They made it smell good in the soap. I do that, and then I run water with apple cider vinegar over my head. That cleanses my body. And then, yes, put on fresh clothes. You know, you don't want any energies there that you don't want to be there. So number 1, light the altar candle or candles and some good quality spiritual incense. Sound the bell 3 times and say, "Most Holy Spirit, protector, consoler, healer, descend upon this altar and give forth of your divine light. Fill this place with love, the sustaining force of the universe. Blessed be." Step 2, make a gesture of power. This may be the sign of the solar cross or banishing pentagram over the candles and sprinkle with the water while saying, "Let these creatures of wax be cleansed and sanctified and blessed for my intense purpose. For my intended purpose. This may bring realization of that purpose to the one for whom they shall burn. By all the powers that be, by and through my hand, blessed be." Step 3, lift the censer, which is where your incense is burning, and thoroughly incense the candles, saying, that's not what it's meant to say. May the petitions and prayers that accompany these candles as they burn ascend, as does the smoke from this incense, purified and pleasing to the gods, and mingle with our holy cosmic mind, which knows how to provide for our needs. So be it. Step 4, with the blessed knife, cut a solar cross or a pentagram into the wax of each candle. For a 7-day glass enclosed novella candle, this will naturally be in the top. For all other types, it should be at the base. With your step 5, with your thumb dipped into the altar oil, retrace the symbols, saying, "Be anointed and dedicated only to the intended purpose. With this oil I seal within thee thy sweet essence of life, that thou may vibrate as a living entity, carry forth my desires to the gods, so be it." And then it shows you some pictures on how to make those things, right? And which way to go and all of that. Otis, you okay back there? He's so cute. He's been playing with this piece of ivy. Otis, say hi. Otis! Anyway, he's very entertained with that piece of ivy. So yeah, and then it goes into charging the candles. This procedure consists of rubbing the candle in a certain manner while concentrating deeply on your purpose or petition. So a lot of us hold intent by either holding the candle or putting our hand above it. This is saying a good way to charge it is to rub it while you're thinking and you're strongly visualizing your desired outcome. with the oil. So you're rubbing it with the anointing oil. It sounds very dirty, but I guess if it looks that way, you're doing it right. Because it's describing it just makes it sound like that. Okay, anyway, the medium of transference via which you will impress those thoughts into the candle is your occult oil, chosen for each individual purpose. Some may prefer to use a single candle dressing oil on all the candles, but it would seem that a product which has been specially formulated from substances of the planetary and elemental categories especially suited to the influence desired in each case would be superior in an all-purpose substance. It is reasonable to assume that the powers of concentration are not equally keen at all times. Therefore, a previously charged oil, or one which vibrates on a particular wavelength, should surely serve to boost these powers or reinforce them. Also, some types of oils are best for banishing, others for attraction or drawing. An all-purpose oil would have to be neutral. It is advised to burn an incense of the same type as your oil during this procedure to aid concentration. The method of rubbing the candle will differ with each different type and purpose. This is the most important operation in your candle burning ritual and must be done casually or swiftly. And then it just goes into like certain types of candles and how to do them, like the 4 glass closed candle, the plain wax candle, the 7 knob candle. So we're going to skip that over until somebody has a question about it and move on to lighting your candles. And then we're going to talk about poppets for Thomas. Hello, Ash Storm Heathen. How are you? So nice to see you. Hi, Heather. Hi, Ricky. Hi, everybody. So good to see you. Okay, so lighting your candles. Matches on an altar are taboo. The reason for this is they are tipped with phosphorus and sulfur, brimstone, elements which release noxious fumes when ignited and are used in the black arts to invoke demonic entities. Striking matches to light candles which have been blessed and charged would therefore seem futile. Okay, well, you guys know I light my candles with matches instead of a lighter. But in the last video, we learned how to do it with the sun. And so if I can ever figure out how to bring down the fire to my candle with the sun, I sure will. In the meantime, it's good to know these things about matches. I'd love to hear what it says about how to do it, though. There are many customs regarding the lighting procedure. One of the most ancient and charming have been describing earlier, known as drawing down the sun. Yes. And that's lighting it with a magnifying glass. However, beginners in the art seldom have a permanent altar with a perpetual flame from which to light their candles. Well, that's one thing that I keep. So alternate methods must be used. You will need a lighting taper or a box of lighting sticks, both available at the candle shop, so I should get that. If you use the lighting sticks, you will also have a small candle, usually one from the votive type, in a container or glass to use as a pilot lamp. Light the small candle in another room from a butane lighter or natural gas flame and carry it to your ritual altar. Then okay, so I could turn on my gas stove, get a flame from my gas stove, light this candle at that, bring it all the way back to my room because I lit it in another room, bring it all the way back and light my candle with it if I wanted to use a butane lighter. So this book is suggesting butane over matches because matches have brimstone, sulfur, and that is used for completely other workings. So this is making a lot of sense. I'm so sorry that I always suggested matches, but this is why we're doing it. We're learning together, right? All right. So light the small candle in another room from a butane lighter or natural gas flame and carry it to your ritual altar. Then, using the taper or lighting stick, light the other candles from it in this order. If you have an altar candle, these are always lit first. Next, light the astral or personal candles, and last, visualizing your desires, light the offertory or purpose candles. Okay? Do you guys remember what all the different candles were? The altar candle should be the biggest one, and it should be placed in the middle of the altar. Okay, and it needs to be much bigger and taller than the other candles, the astral or the astral candle is the one that's burned for a person. You know, this candle is burned for a person, whether it be yourself or somebody else. And the offertory candles, or the purpose candle, is for when you need to write a petition on a candle and say, I need this to happen in the world. What is the date on this book? Let me check for you. The date on this book is 1982, the year I was born. So it's about 37 years old. So yeah, that's the Magic Candle by Charmaine Day. I love the cover because it has all those beautiful pictures of all those, you know, glass candles on the front. So let's, maybe you need to bless it. Well, I do bless the matches, that's for sure. I do. And you know, I was just about to ask for one of those old Victorian, you know how you can strike a match, like, okay, I don't know where to start. I fell in love with this girl, and she has this husband, and he rides on a unicycle, and they do everything like Victorian life, and they have a YouTube channel, but it only has like 6 or 7 videos. Anyway, she's got this old, late 1800s, early 1900s frickin' house person belt, and it's got like a matches and a striker right on the side, and it's so cool, and I always wanted to have that just in case I needed to strike a match. So anyway, let me read categories out of this. We'll read a little bit for Thomas. Thomas, are you still here? And then we'll get into this other candle magic book. So Thomas, are you still here, Thomas? I'm gonna let you pick a you know what would be fun to read is the glossary. I always think glossaries are so fun. Is there a glossary? Yep, 269. Thomas? Thomas isn't here, is he? I haven't heard back from him. Okay, well, let's read the glossary on page 269, and let me just show you this book. Let me just like show you the pictures. They're crazy cool. There's a bunch of patterns. Hi, Miss Emily, it's nice to see you. There's a bunch of patterns in the book for you to, you know, they'll say the patterns on page whatever for this poppet. So there's a bunch of patterns, and then the pictures are just fantastic as well. See though, the pictures are just so great. Hi Joyce! See? This one's clay. That's a cool one. So anyway, lots of pictures in here, but let's read the glossary for puppets, this book, so that we can kind of get an idea. And then since Thomas isn't here to pick a channel, we'll go over here and read some out of the Candle Magic book. So, 269. Okay, it's not long. That's good. So, let's see. The first word, and they're in alphabetical order. Oh, let's start by saying this. You will not find these definitions on the internet. They were constructed as an aid to working through this book and are relative only to the material herein. Well, then never mind. It won't make any sense unless we're reading the book, but okay, well, if Thomas comes back, he can choose out of there unless somebody else wants to. Y'all, what do you want me to read from? This new Candle Magic book or Puppet Magic? You guys pick. We're taking a pause from the other book for now. Candle? Okay. Thanks, Ash. Alright, so candle magic. Let's read through the, I really want to tell you guys about why not to blow out a candle. That's been the big question. Anything in particular, Ash, like that you want me to read from? Do you have any questions on candle magic? I could probably try and look something up. So much in here. Ooh, they have ash spells. They have ash spells. Ash spells for Sabbat ash magic, Samhain, Yule, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, Lithia, Lammas, Mabon. And then they have ash blowing spells. Ooh, that sounds easy. Ash blowing. What's pop up? Hi Raven, how are you? Nina Popina! I'm so happy you're here. Nina, I missed you. I wish you were able to join more, but I know you're busy. So tell you about the ash spells, please. Okay, so let's go to the ash blowing spells on page 162. It's at the end of the book. So there are 2 ash blowing spells. One of them is called Blessed Bid. Okay, Blessed Bid. Just wanted to say a quick thank you for the workings you did for your dad. He had surgery. Are you kidding, Nina? He had surgery and he's cancer-free. That is so beyond cool. Thank you for sharing with us. I did a working for Nina on Etsy. What did we do it, like 3 months ago, hun? We're so happy for you, Nina, you and your family. And I thank you for showing me that picture of your dad, because when I have a picture to think about, I can really do some work with a picture. So thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks for sharing that. Alright, so the first ash blowing spell is called Blessed Bid. On a Monday or a Friday, so you could do it tomorrow, at sunset or midnight, preferably during a waxing or a full moon, burn sage or a similarly high note scented incense such as lotus or eucalyptus or sage. Blow its ashes toward the direction in which you want someone to be happy, healthy, lucky, wealthy, or wise. So this will work for happy, healthy, lucky, wealthy, or wise. You'll blow, and you guys know how this is. You can see the ash right at the top. As you're blowing this to keep it lit in a room, little particles come off of it. More so when it's lit. Face east and burn a white candle and balsam incense, or face west and burn a blue candle and cypress incense. Okay, and that is the Blessed Bid with some sage ash. Okay, next we have one called Gone Gust. Blow ashes away from you to banish a dangerous or hurtful person, problem, or habit, etc. Could be a person, problem, habit, or whatnot. So this would work for addiction magic too. At midnight on a Saturday, go adoors. What's go adoors? It doesn't say outdoors, it says A-D-O-O-R-S. What does that word mean, you guys? Go adoors and face the direction where the person lives. The place the problem is coming from, or the direction of the element with which your issue corresponds. Hold sacred ashes in your left hand and mentally, visually push the issue. Feel the breeze of sweet relief. Follow through by refusing all future contact with that person or taking physical measures to fix the problem or existing resolute willpower to break your habit. So those are the 2 ash blowing spells. And it says before those that ash blowing spells. Movies routinely feature the formulaic plot device of a conjuring man blowing ashes in someone's face to make them a zombie. Although this is literally in your face overt, witches are more cunning than to face a target in this fashion. The act itself is a vulnerable magical practice. Blowing out a candle Blowing out a candle insults the element of fire for sure, but blowing its ashes doesn't. Okay, so it insults the element of fire. That's one of the reasons we don't blow out a candle. I've been trying to note this. Where is Nello? Nello needs to come back. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that we don't blow out a candle. We instead lick our fingers and put it out like this, or we get a snuffer. Okay? Probably the safest way is the snuffer. So, but blowing its ashes doesn't, and can visibly show us an instant response regarding our deities depending on the way that they waft in the air. So you can kind of see your deity's response by the way that they'll go around and waft in the air. So thank you, Ash, for choosing that. We're going to have somebody else choose something now from the beginning. We're going to do some interactive stuff. So let's see here. Does anybody on the channel have any questions that I can try and look up in this book? Or do you want me to just start reading the table of contents and I can kind of tell you what we've got to go by? Adores. Probably a typo meaning outdoors. That's what I thought, Joyce. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Adores. Not comparable at the door. Oh, thanks, Heather. So it does mean something. Okay. Alright, well, I'm just going to read the, Are you okay? I gotta check on Chloe. She's choking. Chloe, are you okay? She's fine. She just gets the worst hairballs. I started keeping cat hairballs for my magic. I mean, there's nothing I don't keep, to be quite honest. But I keep it in a jar in the freezer, so you know. Let's see, there's so much to read from in here. So many things. Ooh, you know what, you guys? I love this section. It's called Fire Superstitions and Taboos. I don't think I read it to you guys, and it starts on page 33. I'd love to read that to you guys if you want to. Apparently it's become an obsolete word, adores. Okay, well, good to know. So it means at the door, right? Just like in the doorway. So, does anybody want me to read that? The Fire Superstitions and Taboos? There's a chapter called Fire Flirting, the Blessing and Blasting Powers of Light, Heat, and Fire. And the first section is Fire Superstitions and Taboos. You guys say yes? Okay. Yes, Heather? Okay. Let's go to page 26. Oh, yeah. I totally was reading on that. Alright, well, we're going to start from the top. Yeah, because this is also going to talk about blowing out candles. Okay, so let's get started. Fire flirting. The blessing and blasting powers of light, heat, and fire. I am going to notice the lights of the earth, the sun, and the moon, and the stars, the lights of our candles as we march, the lights of which spring teases us, the light that is already present. That was Anne Lamott. All right, here we go. Fire magic is as infinite as human experience and ingenuity. Fall under this spell and raise your magic to a higher level. No genius or diploma is required to master its primal secrets. The elements range promises traditional survival skills and beautiful ways to expand your talents, express your spirituality, and revel in your magical might. Fire has many magical correspondences, associations such as love and hate, passion and sabotage, blood and roses. Pagans respect the fact that this element's aspect can bless or blast, heal and kill. A force extreme, sunlight can provide vitamin D or cause melanoma, grow grapes fat or desiccate the vine, cure chilblains or cause heat stroke, ease coughs or suffocate, flame prep fields or wither entire crops, and spark romance or lead to pregnancy. Witches work light, heat, smoke, and flame magic in ways that run from raw to intricate. For example, prisms that cast rainbows, fauceted crystals hung over window panes to catch and spray sunlight, and light streaming through the curtains of colorful sliced agate delight all who enter my covenstead. Bathing patients in pale yellow light stimulates healing far more rapidly than keeping them in a shadow or surrounded by a brilliant white electric light. Steeping tea, simmering wine, oils, herbs, and piping hot feast foods invoke memories of home, inspiring feelings of trust and belonging. Confronting wood smoke and sultry incense set a mystical mood. Lit liquor, lighted lanterns, and dazzling rays of flickering candles elevate expectations of witch mysteries that initiate circle rites with reveal. Okay. Since witches know that blowing out fire offends the element, we extinguish it by pinching it out with a forefinger and a thumb, cupping our hands and clapping it out. So doing above it with our hands, okay, or this, or smothering it out with a candle snuffer, which I have, and I'll go get. So I love this snuffer for a couple of reasons. One is because it moves on its own. So you can get one that's up and down like this and go inside the glass, even though we wouldn't really want to do that. Or one that's just like this. So I like this one because it moves and it's got a little symbol on it as well, and you can just come up and then it's out. Okay, so that's our snuffer. Hey, Jojo Morris, how are you? And Sherry Bug. Okay, so since witches know that blowing out fire offends the element, we extinguish it by pinching it out with a forefinger and a thumb, cupping our hands and clapping it out, or smothering it out with a candle snuffer. Pagans also often flirt with fire. We twiddle our fingers through the bottom, blue part of the flame, merely freaking folks out with our screaming imperviousness to burning. For example, when Duvoya and I were asked by the traditional British fans of the Goodly Spellbook to teach at Pendle Witch Camp in England in 2006, we were thrilled and amazed by the wild fire magic some troops formed after the main summer solstice ritual. They danced with fire, spun it, ate it, and tossed it in ways that most Americans would never dare to try. The entertainment was transfixing, empowering right in itself. Mastering fire's complexity begins by learning its manifestations on a personal level. Watch the sun shine through the trees while you rest atop the ground on your back. They resemble stained glass. Walk barefoot in high summer and feel that heat's intensity on the pavement and diverse surfaces. Listen to the crackle, pop, and hiss of a campfire. Notice how each candle flame has a personality. It is tall or short and flickers in different directions. Look for the shapes that tendrils off the incense smoke form. Anyone can connect with nature in this way, and parents in particular can dispel both the fire fear common in children and the fire bravado common in teens by involving their offspring in fun fire activities. So fire safety drills focusing on avoidance can breed fear in kids. That's probably true. Let's see. I want to go over to what we entered the book for, but this is important. I want to read my highlighted bits. Okay. Yet others worry if their spell may be ruined if they move a lit candle, if only to prevent it from their circling ablaze. Possibly changing a lit candle's position alters its burn and drip pattern. So once you light a candle, you want to keep it in that very same place. So make sure that when you light it, it's in the spot that you want it to be. And stay until it's completely done burning. Don't fret if you lack a candle in the color the spell requires. Substitute white or red for any candle. White is always acceptable, inexpensive, and readily available. Red is the default alternative color. For the direction of east, you can use a white or yellow candle. For the direction of south, you can use a red, pink, or orange candle. West is blue or turquoise. North is green, black, or brown. We equate red with the blood of birth, the fiery witch power to will, and more. What does it mean when a lit candle crackles or hisses, burns in bizarre shapes, or snuffs itself out? The meaning of this is based on common sense and is easy to figure out. First, consider each candle's appearance. Could its wick benefit from being trimmed, pulled aright, or sheltered from a draft? Would it prefer to be lit with a match instead of a lighter? And that differs from what we just read over here, but remember what we read over here about the matches having sulfur or brimstone, and light it in another room with a butane lighter or off of your stove. Bring it back in. Good for me to know, because I haven't been practicing that way. But I strive to change that. The shape that a flame assumes and the candle wax strips have a meaning deserving of an interpretation and heeding. They are one of the many means of the god or goddess used to communicate wisdom, warning, and foresight to us, and they manifest in symbols that we can recognize. So, the way that a wax drips. Now, I had a fan on, and this one dripped like this. Sometimes you can get a better drip with a fan on. Is that the way you're supposed to do a read? I don't know, but you can say, Spirit guides, I'm turning on the fan. Please give me a wax read that I can understand. So this one is this. Possibly you can, look at it and scry within what's there. What does this look like to you? The other day we burnt a candle for Joyce Jordan, and I wanted to show you her wax. This is the wax that we have for Joyce Jordan on her candle. And I don't know why I keep these things, you guys. I really don't, but I do. and I just think they're special. So however you kind of want to interpret that, you can just sit there and meditate on it, or you can try and find a picture inside of it, or lots of different stuff. But Joyce Jordan, that was your wax read for when we did that last week, or whenever that was. Okay. Okay, so, for instance, the spirit of a flame may be restive to being burned, or by being burned may show that the gods either don't support your spell or don't want the candle to be lit at the moment. And so, remember when I came home from Texas and I could not keep a candle lit for my life? Any of my candles? I guess that was a sign that I wasn't meant to be doing working. And what I ended up doing a lot of shadow work, and just self-reflection and trying to do some self-healing, because I couldn't keep an altar candle lit. And I was getting the message, from my spirit guides, like, it's not the right time right now. So, in that case, take the hint as if you would a flower that fights your plucking of it, and try a different candle. You can unleash light, heat, and fire's innate powers to bless and cure life by applying each or a combination of them as needed, but always judiciously, wisely, deftly say by exposing some sick to sunlight vitamin D at high noon on a Sunday by putting insulating cover over plants threatening with frost and cold winter Saturday night. Let's get to these fire superstitions and taboos. We're really excited to read about those, but I did want to get that bit of information into you guys about how to extinguish a candle without blowing it out, and not offending the element of fire, okay? There's a lot of information here. We got to get to what we said we were going to. So the fire superstitions and taboos. Are you guys excited and ready? Joyce says, hey Clarissa, how are you? Yeah, Clarissa, I agree. I keep them as well, and I don't know why, like I said, but I love it. Joyce says, the red wax looked like a flower blooming, but the bluish gray wax, you're not sure. What did you read? Oh, Joyce, I'll send it to you in a message. Alright. So, for most, the word superstition has negative connotations these days, except among witches. Scholars have discovered that there is often truth in the most seemingly outlandish ancient Taylor myth, and witches believe this is to be true of superstitions as well. Many superstitions display a certain logic and reasonableness. Today's superstitions become tomorrow's custom, and pagan prize honoring tradition and seeing connections is supposedly random occurrences. We might not believe every superstition, but we generally don't miss out of hand the wisdom that they possess. Some witches collect proverbs, mottos, and, you guessed it, superstitions. I think here on this channel we collect a lot of old wives' tales, don't we? As we develop magical specialties, we deem it meet to collect superstitions about them. For example, one of my specialties is weather sacting or weatherworking. Therefore, I oft refer to rhyming couplet superstitions about weather phenomenon, which is cover your mirrors and hide your shears when Zeus appears. Example, when the lightning adores. And red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky at morning, sailors take warning. These superstitions are truly valid. I've seen lightning seized by observing the former exoration, and checking the color of the sky invariably correctly predicts sunshine or rain. So consider the merit of these words of wisdom. No country on earth lacks superstition about fire. So we're going to read a bunch of these different words of wisdom, and perhaps as we read through them, Let me know if you've heard any of them, okay? So here's the first one. Leave a candle burning unattended and invite the death of a loved one. If you don't burn a what? If you don't burn a candle to honor someone's passing, that person will become a hungry ghost, desirous of offerings, propitiation, and vengeance. I've never heard that one. Here's the next one. A fire that roars up the chimney portends strife or storm. Chimney sparks foretell important impending news. So you could scry from chimney sparks. Raining fireplace soot presages disaster or bad weather. Putting log irons in a fireplace averts owl hoot and portends death or ill luck. Throwing salt, hot peppers, or vinegar into the fire will give an ill luck hooting owl a sore tongue. Elizabethan era folk believe that spitting into a fire conferred luck. This is probably a way to ameliorate the wrath of a despot. I don't know those words. For as all of our kind know, water puts the fire out. Carrying a bit of coal in your pocket confers luck. Which oft use jetstone, polished rough coal. It's smooth, warm, and black in honor of our ancestors. You can pick it off the ground on many a Blue Ridge Mountain walking trail. At midsummer, on mundane New Year's, Brits practice the custom of first footings. To conjure 12 months of luck, they hold a piece of coal while visiting and wishing well to their neighbors. So they hold a piece of coal while visiting and wishing into a well to their neighbors. Okay. A cat sitting with its back toward a fire portends a hard frost and a long, harsh winter. Driving livestock over cold lithia balefire ashes prevents cattle plague. Scarlet ladybugs are associated with fire, but can bring luck if they land on your clothing, especially on your hand. How many of us have gotten one to land on our hand, and it's just a random, right? To ensure this, say, Ladybird, ladybird, fly away home. Your house is on fire, and your children are gone. Jeez. This is a protective, sweet sentiment to thank them for their largacy in denying to bless you with trust. Okay, here's some more. Shallow pieces of birds that nest on your roof or property protect you from storm and fire damage. So my white peacocks, they sit on my roof and they roost. So maybe they are preventing me from some fire damage. That's amazing. Okay, the Japanese believe that tossing nail parings into the fire makes it vengeful and desirous to burn the tosser or the tosser's home. That tossing in permission pits causes leprosy. And that having red flowers in the house attracts fire. Ah! The Japanese fear and loathe the Hinokuma, the year of the fire horse, which occurs every 60 years, that women have been known to abort if they get pregnant during this time. Tossing a bandage into a fire causes the wound to fester, burn, and heal slowly at best, and sets up scarring. So if you wanted somebody to have a scar, or you wanted to have a killer scar because you were into that, you could toss the bandage into a fire. Romanian and Turkish superstition contends that kids who play with fire will wet their beds. That's crazy. Don't play with fire or you'll wet your bed. Like, that's all you need to tell kids and they won't play with fire, right? Don't tell them you'll burn down the house. Just say that you'll wet your bed for all of days. Ancient Romans contended that it was bad luck to mention a fire during a banquet. If you did, the only remedy was to spill water on the table intentionally. British folk in the Midlands believe that if the fire burns brighter after being poked, it means that an absent loved one is in goodly spirits. Jack Jolly, are you here? Because we're talking about the Welsh. The Welsh contended that a grave follows the appearance of a hollow in a fire. A hollow is when the log burns an eye hole through its pitch so that you can see the fire burning from inside its outer bark shell. That's really cool, actually. Hypnotizing when scried, but a baneful portent of friends and family members' mortality. Okay, coffin-shaped coals that fly out of the fire portend death. Coal cradles are an omen of an imminent pregnancy. Imminent. The household will have bad luck if ash embers aren't removed before bedtime. Actually, I think Peggy used to say that as like an old wives' tale in my house. Hey, there's a lot of people here. Hello, and mods, please make sure that while I'm reading, if I can't see things, that you make sure that everything is good in the room. And welcome to all the folks that are here. We're reading out of Candle Magic by Lady Passion. And we're talking about folklore and fire superstitions and taboos. That's what we're talking about. The Scottish believed that if they would have ill luck all year if they didn't burn a fire the entire night of New Year. This magical blowback from the person's unmitigated gall in ignoring the tradition also attached to anyone who later dared lend that person a coal to try to relight the home fire. If fire burns to one side, it foretells a wedding. If a fire suddenly roars, it portends a visit from a stranger. People in Kentucky believe that it is bad luck to burn bones. Clarissa's in the Midlands? Yeah, ask your birth relatives. That would be funny. My Wi-Fi keeps going walkie. That's no good. Is anybody else seeing my Wi-Fi go walkie, or is it just Raven? Here we go. It is unlucky to have two people kindle a single fire. Okay, that's good information, because at my house, sometimes we help each other make a fire, and that was fun, but to know that it's not good luck. Is anybody else having trouble seeing me? Are we going bad on the Wi-Fi? Not mine. Okay. A spitting, roaring fire portends an argument. Sparks foretell a letter coming or predict that a maiden suitor will visit. A fire that burns blue means that spirits are present. Poking a fire you haven't made yourself is unlucky. I think I knew that one. By intuition, actually. If a log or coal rolls away from the fire, name it after the person whom you want to come visit you. Then spit on it. They'll arrive promptly. So you guys, bodily fluids like tears, expectorant, or spit, urine, blood, menstrual blood, did I say tears? Nail clippings, things like this. They're not gross things to use in your magic, but you need to be careful, and not just be careful of the cleanliness of it and being careful that way, but also being careful because you are attaching yourself to that working. Okay. Well, that's no good that we're having problems with the Wi-Fi. Is it really annoying? Because I guess I could try and come on later. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, a fire that dies out before consuming all the fuel is unlucky. If a lightning strikes a tree, put the fire out with milk, not water. Burning lightning-struck wood attracts death in the family. Dreaming of fire portends good and bad. An unexpected windfall of cash, news, bad luck, family problems, an impending argument, and looming illness. If you dream of fire out of season, you'll be angry for no reason. To dream of smoke portends trouble or death. As does each of the other 4 elements, fire has its own traditional taboos. Beyond mere superstition, magical practitioners should observe and honor these customs. Don't personally light a flame for which you don't personally take responsibility. If you think the flame or fire is polluted with ungoodly ingredients, extinguish it and replace it with more pure ingredients. And that's listening to your intuition right there, you guys. You'll just know. You'll just have that feeling, and you need to listen to it. Never blow out a flame. Instead, extinguish it by smothering it, putting ashes atop of it, or with a snuffer. So in this book, they're giving us some good advice. In this book, it said to extinguish it with your fingers. You can lick your fingers and extinguish the candle like that. And in this book, it also said you could clap out the candle instead of blowing it out. Clap it out, and that wouldn't be... we're trying not to insult the element of fire. Okay? And we also learned that we can use a snuffer. Now, in this book, it suggests never blow out a flame. Instead, extinguish it by smothering it, putting ashes atop of it, which I never thought of, and that's a cool... Okay, so, spirits of fire, elements, entities, and deities. We'll come back and we'll talk more out of this book on the spirits of fire. I have to take care of a phone call, so I talk to you guys all very soon. We'll come back.